All right, here's the 2024 AGT Industrial, the QK 18K-C. I picked it up from Ritchie Brothers 4 days ago. This is the K, so the Kubota diesel, 3-cylinder diesel. First few things I've done with it, I haven't even really dug any ditch, but of course, half of these fittings were the weird little needle type, so I switched them all to normal zerts. Of course, greased everything. It had almost no grease in most of the fittings. This kingpin down here, it took like a quarter tube of grease. It was completely dry. Just kind of a little overview. Has the hydraulic thumb. Second thing I did is these pedals for the tracks, they were facing the other way. They were flipped around. They were backwards, I believe. So when you were going backwards, this was almost touching the seat. It was in your lap. So I have the mat off right now too, but I had to take these foot controls off. This is the blade, that's the thumb. I had to take those out and spin the actual brackets around there. And unfortunately, they have to stay loose. When they're tight, they run into the handles. So eventually, I think I'm going to shorten these, and then that will shorten them and have them to the left and right more, and that will allow room to put pedals for the tracking. So that'd be way better. Right here, you just have that unlocks your controls, that locks your controls. Super important for getting on and off because it is pretty tight. Oil light, battery switch, coolant temperature, of course in Celsius. Over here, throttle, key, hour meter, light, pretty simple. Of course the pilot controls, super awesome. I guess while we're over here, I'll show this diesel hydraulic fluid. The third thing I had to do is the diesel, there was a diesel leak, and the pickup line is at the bottom of the tank. I had to take this cover off and this other cover off, and it's a banjo bolt coming out of there, and everything looked fine. I just had to take it off, clean the crush washers, put it back together, and it stopped leaking. So that was an easy fix. While we're back here, the seat flips up. There's a stupid wing nut that was on there. I just got rid of that because it was a pain. But yeah, there's what you want to see, the little Kubota diesel. Yeah, this thing's sweet. It's the D722, just a little 3-cylinder. It's like a 0.7 liter. It's awesome. It's, of course, water cooled with the fan down there, a little alternator. It's an awesome little unit. I guess I should mention the very first thing I did is I tried to fire it up. Click, nothing. Thought the battery was dead, right? So reached in there, charged the battery. It turns out right on the starter solenoid there, that little blue wire was unplugged. Who knows, if somebody did it so nobody would start it, or it just came loose or whatever. That was the first little battle figuring that out, but that was no big deal. Air cleaner. And then the coolant, it's like, it's not water, but it's clear, and it's weird. So I'm definitely gonna change that out. I haven't changed the engine oil yet. I need to do that. I have the filter ordered. The hydraulic fluid, of course, was almost empty, so I filled that. What else is there to know about this thing? That's pretty much a general overview. Of course, the latches and stuff, none of that lines up. So starting this little guy, if you read online and everything, it says hold the key to the left, that's your glow plugs. Well, that's not true. What I found out is you turn the key and you just have to sit there and wait. You hear the fuel pump start going, but then you hear a relay click, and once it clicks, the glow plugs are done heating. And I've had it running a little bit, so it shouldn't take long, but you can hear the fuel pump, hopefully, and there was the click, so it's ready to go. And just a little puff of smoke, no big deal. This thing is awesome. We'll get up here on the controls and show them to you real fast. Okay, rev it up a little bit, unlock it, and now the first confusion, I see a lot of online is, okay, this is the blade, right? That's the thumb. How do you get the boom to kink? Well, on top of the joystick here, that's actually a button. So you press the button down, and then you swing. I'm swinging left, or excuse me, right. It goes right. I swing left, it goes left. You let go of the button, and just swing normally. And it's normal excavator controls. Little light's pretty cheesy. This one has a picture of a horn. It doesn't do anything. Of course, the throttle. And that's pretty much it for the controls. I'm gonna switch buckets to my clean out bucket that I had on my previous FF13, and I have some communication pipe that needs to go in there, so I'll set up a tripod and start digging. Alright, at this point I'm just using the grading bucket to rig back the gravel before I start to trench, and no, it works great. It's smooth operation. You can do both functions at the same time. You know, you can be booming up and sticking in at the same time like I do here to get a nice smooth grade. Has plenty of power, doesn't bog down when you're doing both. It overall, I'd say it works great for just grading out material like I am here. Alright, so here I swapped onto the 8-inch dig bucket for the actual trench, and it does great. It has plenty of power. Right here I'm in kind of some soft material, but as I move further down I get into my driveway that's packed pretty hard, and it has no problem ripping through it. You know, came across a couple bigger rocks, nothing crazy, but it didn't have a problem popping them out. Same thing I said before when grading, you know, you can do multiple functions at the same time, and it doesn't have any problems bogging down. So it worked great with this little dig bucket. And I was, like I said, I was only going 12 to maybe 18 inches for this communication pipe, so it worked great. So this is when I get into my driveway here, and it's definitely packed in, you know, much harder. And same thing, it rips through it pretty good. You can see the blade coming off the ground a little bit there. You know, I was just having to put more pressure to break up the material, but nevertheless, it still didn't have a problem breaking it up and getting pretty much a full scoop the whole time. I came across, like I said earlier, a couple rocks, no big deal. And here I wasn't going too deep because I know the water line for my well's in there somewhere. I just don't know exactly where, but it works great for trenching. Alright, so that took about 45 minutes with changing buckets. I was going to say an hour, but not quite an hour. It's later in the day now. I had to stop for a bit, but I have a pipe there I have to cross. But no, the AGT did awesome. The only thing that I'm really having to get used to, even with the pilot controls, is the swing. When you're swinging the whole machine, it's really fast. You just have to be super smooth and pay attention. I'm gonna try to do the spring mod in the joysticks here. I'll make a video of that. Hopefully that can kind of smooth it out. But really, I mean, it was doing awesome. It dug great, good power. The temp only got up to like 50 degrees Celsius, of course, which was like, I think it was like 140, 130. So that's not bad. And what's awesome, unlike my FF13 I had, it has the hydraulic cooler as well as the coolant cooler. So it's pretty handy that way, that's for sure. And then what was I noticed? Oh yeah, the swing boom is just killer for digging off to the side of the ditch. Like I said earlier, I'll definitely have to mod the handles because it is annoying having to, you know, reach so far ahead every time to track ahead, but that's a mod for the later date. Of course, the little bucket's awesome, does great. But well, I'm gonna get this pipe in and backfill and go from there. All right, so here I am at the point of backfilling the ditch. So I put the big cleanup bucket back on, and it like I said earlier, it works great as smooth operation, and I really like this machine for grading stuff out, and it was perfect for backfilling. Like I said, or maybe I said, I'm not sure, I previously had a FF13 without the pilot controls, and it of course was jumpy and just tricky to be able to grade stuff out nice like this thing can with the pilot controls. Like I just mentioned, I was getting used to the swing being pretty fast and sensitive and a little bit jerky, but I now have about 13 hours on the machine, and having it revved up all the way definitely helps with the swing, and of course just getting used to it. But no, I was really happy with this purchase. The huge upgrade from my last little Chinese machine, and the Kubota diesel is awesome. You know, it doesn't get hot like the other ones do. Has the oil cooler. It so far has been flawless. At this point, I have swapped all the fluids and done everything properly, so it's good to go there. But I would definitely recommend one of these machines to a homeowner for sure. I'd say doing side jobs would be awesome. You know, if you start to get into the professional world, I probably wouldn't recommend it just because the track speed is so slow. But for the price, I mean, you could definitely do jobs with this thing and make money and get it paid for really quick. But anyways, I'm definitely happy with the machine, and if you made it this far in the video, appreciate you for watching. Have a good one.